All right, video 3 of 2024 Tennessee Titans NFL draft analysis. So this is year, I want to say 5 or 6, to where I do have another video series of what I would do for the Tennessee Titans, which has been pretty successful over the course of when I've been doing it collectively, 65% hit rate. But as for the Tennessee Titans, pick 106, they select Cedric Gray, linebacker out of North Carolina, a player that shined at the Senior Bowl. He's known for his coverage skills, his length, his ability just to go out there and run and hit. Excellent blitzer. I'm going to give a little bit of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think it's a position of need after the Tennessee Titans failed to really create sufficient, maybe it is sufficient, but I would say more so proficient depth at the linebacker position. I think Cedric Gray fits their scheme to some degree. I think he's more of the traditional old school 3-4 or odd front inside linebacker that can just run and hit. And hopefully you got some pretty good defensive linemen, which the Titans do. So pairing him with Kenneth Murray, it's almost like doppelgangers, but Cedric Gray is better at defending running backs out of the backfield, linebackers overall. But, you know, he was guarding not really NFL level athletes. So when you talk about linebackers who have great coverage skills, you really want to start to look at how they move, how they react, as opposed to just the blanketed statement, he's a great cover guy. That's how you get narratives of, well, he was a great cover guy in college. No, you got to really look at the traits. So when you look at the traits, I think he has good flexibility, the ability to react to the play. He understands routes that he's going to be able to get, excuse me, in the league. If you're a running back, you're going to be running, you know, those flat routes, Texas routes. If you're a tight end, you're going to be running, you know, whips and zig routes, and then obviously crossers. So he understands routes, and that's what really matters. Now, from as a prospect, 6'2", 235-ish, outstanding analytical grades in terms of against the pass and holistically as a linebacker. Those things hold up because it's about IQ. But some of my reservations about Cedric Gray and Kenneth Murray is the physicality, you know, in terms of like stacking and shedding against offensive linemen, which they may or may not have to do on a consistent basis with the defensive linemen that the Tennessee Titans have. But realistically, you're not always going to have that cushion of Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat your whole career. It's just not going to happen. So you're going to be able, you have to learn to be able to either avoid those blockers in space or to be able to stack and shed, to be able to shock these linemen, get off of the blocks and make the tackle. Speaking of tackles, Cedric Gray had, I think the correct number, I have to fact check that, is 15 missed tackles last year. And it's been a consistent thing. Now, a lot of times you get a lot of these players who have high volume in tackle attempts. So therefore, it's common knowledge that he'll have high missed tackles. But there is a penchant for him to dive at ankles and just use poor form because he's just moving, you know, a mile a minute. So understood, but he definitely has to get better at securing tackles at the next level. I think he also has green dot ability, which is basically, for the people who just learned of that term, excuse me, here in the last, I guess, 24 months, it's really who you give the ability to relay the message or the call to others. In high school, if you played, college, if you played, it's usually a middle linebacker. It's the center of the defense. He's going to call it. I've been in positions to where I've called the play or relayed the play before as a defensive back. Sometimes it's the safety. A corner has done it before, obviously, if I'm talking about myself. So it's basically just saying the guy who relays the defensive play. right? And it has become something new in the Nashville market to be like, oh, wow, we don't have a linebacker that can do that. And then it's been kind of like people running with the chick with, with their, like a chicken with their heads cut off, talking about who's going to be that guy, who's going to be this guy. When in reality, it could be anybody who can just sufficiently communicate the call. And it's good to have that, because now you're talking about a guy with a high IQ, good communication skills, but it's not like mandatory. So he does have that ability. And as a rookie, you're going to have growing pains as a rookie. So he's going to be learning the defense, which by all accounts seem to be a simplistic scheme. They want their players to be able to play fast. So he may learn the defense very fast and be able to be that green dot guy. If not, the Tennessee Titans are in a position where they're going to have veterans step up to just learn how to relay a message. So it's not that big of a deal as this market is making it. I think that Cedric Gray is a pick that, and I thought about tweeting this as well. If I was to predict who the Tennessee Titans would have selected, everybody outside of Jalen Harrell, I probably would have been money on, but I was definitely focused on who I would select. But if I really wanted to get in my bag, I probably could have predicted every player that the Tennessee Titans picked, because it's so predictable to what they need. And it's based off of players that were at the Senior Bowl, players they talked to, players that visited. Certain connections just make sense. Cedric Gray is someone that I've been asked about the whole draft process for somebody for the Titans, and they pick him. Jarvis Brownlee Jr., which we'll get to. I'll get to that. You guys go to that video as I share a insider conversation that I had about Jarvis Brownlee Jr. But just overall, it is what this regime deserves, these type of picks that they're making. So with that being said, I think it's a solid pick. If I was to grade, I don't think that I graded the Tavondre one. I gave the Latham one in the A's. I would give the Tavondre one a B minus, and then I would probably give this one a solid B to C. So another C minus, a B minus, because the only thing to close is, for a linebacker, he has to get stronger. Maybe that comes with the ability to tackle and secure tackles a little bit better, but he has to get stronger. He has to become more physical, or the 17 game, 20 game season is going to wear at him to be at a linebacker position. I don't care if Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons is taking up every block. You got to get stronger to be able to handle the brute force, constant battles and fights that you get into as a linebacker. And especially you being rangy and lanky, got to get bigger, got to get more muscle density to be able to handle all that. So an A+ for Latham, B- Sweat to B minus to B for Cedric Gray as well. So stay tuned for the next draft pick. Got some insider information, especially with Brownlee Jr.